Hello everyone. Sorry, we're running a little bit late there. So happy Pride. Welcome to our Wanderers Zoom call. I'm Marvin O'Kello, the Inclusivity Officer of the Halifax Wanderers Football Club, and I'm proud to be hosting this conversation on inclusivity in sport tonight. Inclusivity is one of our club's pillars, and we want everyone to feel welcome at the Wanderers ground. So that's why we're all here tonight, to show our support and to celebrate our 2SL LGBTQ plus community. That is the acronym the Pride Festival is using, and we are as well. Our social media graphics are rainbow colored to mark the Pride Festival here in Halifax. And while the festival has been reimagined due to COVID-19, we have been promoting some of the events happening in our community. Check out the fan zone on our website for some very cool Pride phone wallpapers too. I have one of those in my background today. Shout out to Nicole for those. Thank you very much. I'm really excited to talk to some great guests who are joining us tonight. Coming up, our VP of Football Operations, Matt Figan, Steve Cook from the Pride Festival, and Canada's first openly gay boxer, Johnny Mack from Cape Breton, and now based in Halifax. But we are going to kick things off with our fans, of course. If you were at any Wanderers home matches last year, you may have seen the rainbow flags our fans brought to every game. Our fans also held a Pride fundraiser to support the organization Youth Project, in which $282 was pledged for every Wanderers goal last June. Over $2,500 were raised, and Garrett McPhee was behind all of this, and he is joining us now from Cape Breton, where he's back home for a vacation. He's an ally to the community, and we're very happy he's here. Hello, Garrett.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, you see, I'm in vacation mode, you know. I forgot. You guys should sell Wanderers Hawaiian shirts. I'd buy your whole stock.
That's not a bad idea.
So last June, we sort of joined into this project. So there's this thing, Privateers 1882 is sort of a member of the overall larger world of soccer supporters clubs. So we have interactions and relationships with other teams, supporters clubs all around the USA and Canada. And we were very interested in this story that was developing back in 2017, you know, before the Wanderers even played a match, that down in Chattanooga and in Detroit, some fans there had a friendly wager between each other that they would donate, they would pledge a certain amount of money per goal and donate to local LGBT embracing organizations in their communities. And they, you know, sort of bragging rights that, you know, our team scored more than your team. And in order, you know, instead of just bragging, they'll pledge money and they'll donate it to local charities.
Put your money where your mouth is, as you say.
Yeah, exactly. So the very first year they raised $12,000 because it was so popular, everyone loved it. So then they decided to expand it. They made a website and people can sign up, and any supporters club can create their own campaign on there. So the next year they raised $50,000 for charities all across the USA. And then in 2019, I'm happy to say we were the first one outside of the USA to join this, because we were, you know, come on, Wanderers play, I want to join this Pride Raiser. So yeah, when we joined in, we were the first one in Canada. There was 49 campaigns that year that raised over $122,000, so tenfold of their first year, just 2 years prior. We raised money for the Youth Project, a charity that's centered. It's called the Youth Project because it's directed and run by LGBT people under the age of 25. So they control, they direct the whole thing. They control its direction. They decide what they do. We thought that was a great place to support. So that's the charity we chose. And yeah, we $282 per goal, which put Halifax quite high on the list. That, you know, we were above even the big places, you know, Portland. We were up there with Portland and Detroit and those places that, you know, get thousands and thousands. And $2,538 for, you know, going out of the kitchen and having a couple of drinks with your friends and having a rowdy good time. What's better?
Definitely. It's a great way to combine a great cause and have some fun as well.
Yeah, it makes the goal, you know, you were excited for a goal before. Well, what about now? You're jumping right out of your skin. So yeah, and the reason we wanted to do that is because the supporters club itself, Privateers 1882, was founded on these sort of principles like that soccer is for everybody. You know, historically, soccer and sports in general is sort of seen as a a heteronormative thing, and if you don't fit in this little box, you're not allowed here. Well, that's precisely Preparatory 18.2, and the kitchen itself is there's no boxes here. You're you.
That's a great point, Gareth. And what was the reaction you found from other fans?
They loved it. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. We raised a ton of money. a lot of people were pledging to this and loving it. And it turns out too, they actually track who actually does donate, and everybody did.
That's awesome.
So they actually, kept to their word. But yeah, so we support more than just football. I always say that we support Halifax and all of the people in it too. So that's why we had to do this. And I'd love to do. We're going to be doing Pride Raiser every year. That's a given. So yeah, we have like one of the things I made sure we always did. It's just a simple gesture, but it is a big message that we always have pride flags, and we have the all fans welcome banner we hand painted that goes up every match front and center. Pride flags and trans pride flags, any kind of pride flags we can get our hands on, they're always up. Every week is Pride Week. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. And also another fun thing we did for this, because everyone loves the smoke bombs. So we added a little extra flavor to it for Pride Raiser. So instead of just blue smoke, we had the whole rainbow. So we were lighting off every single color. It's great for pictures. It's awesome, and it just makes everything so much more fun. The kitchen is already the best party in town, but now with this, put a little seasoning on it, it's the best.
Definitely, and you think this really added to the Wanderers grounds experience overall, eh?
Yeah, definitely, and it more than just adding to the experience. It shows that this isn't just a football club. It's not something you just come in. It's a whole community. Derek Martin always says sports is community, and I couldn't agree more. It really is, and we embrace the whole community.
Definitely. No, that's a great initiative there, Gary. And hopefully, like you said, we continue into the next year and we are able to raise even more money.
Oh, definitely. We'll be every year trying to beat it.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for starting that. You're a great super fan, as well as being heavily involved in that community as well. And we're really happy to have you with the Wanderers. So thanks a lot, Garrett.
Thank you.
And we'll see you back soon with those pride flags at the Wanderers grounds.
Definitely.
So next, I'm really happy to welcome one of our fans from the 2SL LGBTQ plus community, Emily Muse. Emily Muse was at the Wanderers grounds with friends for about 10 of our home games last season. Thank you for joining us, Emily.
Good. Nice to come on. Nice of you to have me.
Definitely. And we just heard from Garrett about the rainbow-colored smoke and flags. What was it like for you experiencing those things at a professional soccer match here in Halifax?
It's like I think that the first time that I was like in the stands for one of those, I didn't realize what was happening, and I just saw smoke come out for I think it might have coincided with like one of the colors of the visiting team, so I got really confused. But then when I saw what was happening, I was just like, oh man, this team's like about this and stuff. And then like hearing people like just being like, oh yeah, no, they're like fundraising and stuff. It's like donating money, and like I'm just like, yeah, no, that's really heartening to be seeing happen and to be hearing and stuff. Like,
did it make you feel very welcome seeing something like that happening?
It's like I probably wouldn't have gone if I didn't have like any like-minded friends who are either allies or in the community themselves to go with. And
so how did you get into watching the Wanderers, if you don't mind me asking, Emily?
Well, it's like about a year before the first season dropped, I started getting into watching football with some friends, and just like enjoying watching it, and just like.
Who were you first watching? Who was the first team that
well, my friends got me into Arsenal because it was just like, it's like one of those things where it's like I'm kind of going into this a bit blind, a bit just like, yeah, a little bit blind.
Well, welcome to the club. I'm a big Arsenal fan myself, so
nice.
Come on, you Gooners.
Yeah, exactly. It's like last couple games good. We did pretty good last couple of games, which is exciting. But yeah, just like going from that and then just like hearing the news of just like, Halifax is getting a team. It's like, a team? What league? And it's like, oh, a new league. And I'm just like, oh, this is perfect. I'll just like be involved like in person, because like seeing like watching games and seeing like the energy in the stands was like really electrifying. And like especially growing up, I'd been like kind of like felt disincentivized to like get into playing sports and like going out to sports on my own because of like what Garrett was saying, that reputation for like heteronormativity and like machismo and stuff like that. And like,
And do you find that has changed a lot over recent years?
I feel like it's gotten a lot better, like seeing the history of like different football clubs and supporters just like really running the political gamut. It's kind of like what I knew of Halifax is just like, was expecting like not any sort of like actual like antagonism or anything, but like getting there and just like seeing that like, no, everybody's pretty good, like good, supportive, tolerant. Like,
Awesome. That's what we like to
there's
hear.
the
And
occasional, like I think there's like one or two incidents that's like I was witness to, at least, where somebody was kind of being less than great, but that was shut down pretty quickly, which was really validating.
awesome. Do you mind elaborating at all on any of those experiences?
Well, one was just kind of like this one guy like yelling at this or that player, calling them like some homophobic language, and then just like other people like just like kind of jumping in, just being like, no, we don't do that here. Like,
That's awesome.
it's like, yeah, just shut down right quick.
Yeah, I mean, we
Just
have a
like,
very, very diverse audience and fans, so it's great to see that there's lots of people standing up for each other.
yeah, no, it's like very, very big family type of vibes, like just like very much that sense of community where it's like, I was worried that I'd just kind of like be there in like my little bubble with some friends or whatever. But then it's just like, actually, no, a lot of these people are pretty great. And it's like there's no assigned seating in the kitchen or anything, but people usually gravitate towards the same areas. And like, you get to know the people who are like standing around you a bit.
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah, just like being able to participate in the chants and stuff. Like,
definitely. So you think you'll be going back next year, hopefully, right, for some games?
Yeah, no, I've kind of been missing going out, really. Like,
yeah, well, hopefully we have a season return at some point here with some good news.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to see it. Like, even if it's like a thing to watch online. Like I know like last season there was a bunch of articles and interviews with players who were just like how much they get pumped up, like playing at home in the kit, like with the kitchen backing them up and all this stuff. Just really huge amount of support. And like, as much as I'd like to see like all the other teams have that level of support, it's still a point of pride,
Definitely. No, we've been very overwhelmed by our support that we've got. It's definitely more than we ever expected, and we're happy to have people like yourself, Emily, at the grounds, and we look forward to having you more as we return to play. So thank you for coming on. Really appreciate you sharing your experiences and continuing to be a fan.
Oh, absolutely. Looking forward to more games, more news, more this, more that.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, Emily.
All right.
And
have you again.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Our founder and president, Derek Martin, wishes everyone well and sends his apologies that he can't make it tonight. He's actually on a league owners call as we speak. So joining us tonight from our team is Matt Figan, our VP of Football Operations. Matt has been busy working with Stephen Hart and our players to get our team back into training and ready to play. Matt, maybe let's start with what made you, what Garrett and our fans did at our Wanderers grounds matches last year, and with what Emily had to say about the experience as a 2S LGBTQ plus person.
Yeah, thanks very much. Well, I think last year there were a lot of, for our first season, there were a lot of highs that we were able to achieve at the stadium, just in terms of the game day experience. And I think the Pride Raiser, was one of those moments as well where we were able to actually bring, I guess, the ethos of what we were trying to achieve as a club, and reflect that, and not just say it, in verse or in some of our text language or whatever. So I think, we've always been about engaging with our fans and allowing our fans to express themselves at the venue. And I think, this event was obviously we drew attention to it through the club, and I wish we could have scored a few more goals so that the smoke could have been more visible at the time. But I think just in general, the whole idea and what they were doing from the fan base was fantastic. And I think a lot of credit due to everybody, because of that. Emily talks a little bit about, finding a new environment to try out in terms of soccer and trying to go out to the games. And I think, as Garrett pointed out, that Derek often speaks about this club is about bringing the community together through sport. And I think inherently that is inclusivity, but the idea of making people feel welcome, we recognize that as a club, we maybe are pulling people together that haven't found a home before or felt welcome in maybe some environments. And I think it's really important for us to feel like they do feel welcome, and they do feel like there's somewhere that they can enjoy themselves and be part of the crowd. I love the fact that kitchen section isn't assigned seating. I think it gives an amazing opportunity for people to mix, and yes, self-police, but it really gives everybody a chance to get part of the atmosphere as well, and that goes right across every atmosphere of this.
Definitely. Well, I strongly agree. And James mentioning in the chat there, the supporters responding correctively to offensive actions in the stands is important to the supporter culture we want to create. And strongly agree with that, James. So great comments there. We held a discussion on racism, Matt, and we now have an inclusion in our community page on our website. What does inclusivity mean to us as a club, do you think?
Well, I think, as we touched on there, the idea that when we say in our motto that, or one of our mission statements is to bring the community together through sport, as I said, that is what we're trying to achieve there is inclusivity. So it's first of all, we welcome people to the Wanderers grounds, obviously, because we are hosting an event. But we also have an opportunity and a responsibility to reach out to communities as well, and recognize that Halifax is a really diverse community, and that we need to be a reflection of that. So I know that with Stephen's team, we had done some preliminary discussions about trying to sync up the Pride Parade with a Wanderers home game, trying to make it something where, we could celebrate that as much as we celebrate at every game. It's actually drawing attention to it as well, and making it something that we all celebrate as a club. So I think inclusivity is just something that is really important for us to live versus just say that we live by, and show that in our game day experience as well. Definitely. And just to further that, what is your message to the Pride Festival and the community about the kind of club we want to be? Well, I think in Halifax, you have a responsibility often to reflect the community, and I think that we want to be part of that. We know that and this extends even to our players beyond just being footballers. We know that there's a responsibility to help develop them as individuals. And I know some of the guys are on here at the moment, and even at a basic tangent here, Jason I see is on here, who has an engineering degree, and we connected him with engineering firms for him to get some exposure to that kind of experience with local businesses. That's obviously not in the context of Pride, but it just shows that the kind of things that we are encouraging our players to help educate everybody, so that we can all be part of this and make the Wanderers grounds feel like it's somewhere that that everybody feels like is their home. And ultimately, when the boys are on the pitch, that they reflect every part of the community that they play for. Definitely. And it's great to see you there, Jason, as well. Thanks for joining us.
We mentioned at the beginning how you've been working hard navigating public health guidelines to get our team back training under strict and safe conditions. How's the team doing? If you can give us a bit of insight into how our squad is preparing and looking.
Fantastic. I mean, Jason's looking a lot trimmer now that he's back on the pitch a lot more often. And I see Corey's on here, and Jan's here now too. Jan got in the country last Friday, so he is self-isolating. But you know, this is obviously unprecedented. I think there's a lot of keywords and buzzwords that everybody uses for all of these things, but they've taken it all in their stride, and we're very excited to, you know, hopefully be back into playing games shortly. But you know, we've been ramping things up the last few weeks, working within the provincial guidelines and making sure that we get everybody ready so that when they say go, we're ready to go.
Awesome. Sorry, quick mute issue there. Great points there, Matt. Great. And that is our VP Football Operations, Matt Figan, everybody. Thank you for coming on, Matt.
Thanks, everyone.
So this is a really busy time for the Halifax Pride Festival. So we're really pleased that Steve Cook from the festival is with us tonight. Steve actually organized the Pride Parade last year, and this year, due to COVID-19, there will not be a festival, unfortunately, but Steve has been involved in a number of the events happening online and some that have taken place with social distancing guidelines. Happy Pride, Steve.
Happy Pride to everyone here.
First, tell us about the festival this year and how it is going during these socially distant times of COVID-19.
Well, we did, like the Halifax Pride Board does meet months and months and months ahead of the festival. And we did want to we wanted a festival, and we wanted to do some things in person. A lot of festivals out there are going virtual and going online, but the individuals in the 2S LGBTQ plus community, they don't necessarily always have a close family or a family that's there for them. So Pride, the celebration of Pride is kind of there for them as well. Someplace they can go, they can meet new friends, they can meet what we kind of call in the community as their gay family. And you can't really do that with a bunch of virtual settings. So Halifax Pride did want to make sure that we did have things in person. So that's why the Garrison Grounds have been open practically all festival with a bunch of different events going on. Last Friday, I think it was, we were, well, leading up to it, we wanted to be, follow all the guidelines for social distancing. So I was actually spray painting with a safe spray paint, by the way, onto the grounds of the Garrison Grounds circles, which we call bubbles. So when you come in and you come in with people in your own bubbles, you wear a mask up until the point that you're in one of these circles. Then you can safely remove your mask when you're with your friends in your bubbles. So we did have to think of different ways in order to do that. Of course, leading up to the festival, things always were changing. Restrictions were being lifted a little bit. And we also had to prepare for any time where things might get bad again, where restrictions could be enforced. So a lot of planning went into it. We do have the in-person event still going on. I would encourage anybody to check out the schedule as well, just to see if there's anything you're interested in. The festival this year is going well. We, of course, always run into issues. The communication for a lot of the events couldn't be put out very early, just because of all the things that were changing. So we couldn't put out to the public that we were doing one thing if it was going to change a week later or even days later. But the challenges to reimagine it are there. We do have a lot of virtual events, and we have a team that's hosting from a Pride studio in town for a lot of drag performances, a lot of noon hour panels, which are going great. I've attended quite a few of them, and they're fantastic. I think there's still a few more if people want to look up what those are about and if they're on any topics that you're interested in. But it's definitely been it's been a challenge, but we are definitely there to be there for the community.
Awesome. That's great, Steve. And I'm sure Jan being back, welcome. I'm sure I've heard he's into a few festivals, so I'm sure he'll check out some at some point. So you've been active in all kinds of organizations, including the Blue Nose Marathon, curling, and dodgeball. How inclusive have you found sport to be in your life?
In my life, in Halifax, it's pretty good. Of course, it's not perfect. Nothing is ever perfect. That's another reason why Halifax Pride says we create safer spaces. We don't say we create safe spaces because you can never be sure, right? So that's why it's safer spaces. We do what we can. But in my life, I didn't really get into sports until later on in my adult life. And growing up, I was just not always, I don't know, kind of, I guess you would say, macho like the other guys out there. So I didn't really see a need for sports, but getting into it later on in life, especially with, I think dodgeball would have been the first thing or the first sport that I really got into competitively. I also helped launch Nova Scotia Dodgeball here in town, which is follows the world's world dodgeball style for dodgeball. I know everybody always hears dodgeball and they're like, oh, and then they quote the movie. It's great all the time.
I was just about to, actually.
Yeah, read your mind. But even later on in life, when I got into sports, I do still see quite a few things out there that could be worked upon, such as people assuming gender identities, assuming sexual orientation, and also assuming pronouns. It's always better to ask rather than assume, I would say. I have found, I've done a lot of traveling for dodgeball as well, and there's throughout North America, there's a lot of organizations that are dedicated to the 2S LGBTQ plus community, and they throw tournaments that are in support and for the community as well, but there's always seems to be some straight teams, so to speak, come in and they think it's an easy win, and they kind of underestimate 2S LGBTQ plus athletes, thinking that it's just going to be something of a cakewalk. One example would be in Barrie, Ontario. There's a huge dodgeball tournament every year, with the exception of this year, of course, because we know COVID. And I got together with 8 other people, and we all got jerseys that were RuPaul's Drag Race queens on each of our jerseys. We decided to, some of us wore skirts just for the heck of it, and we went out on the courts, and a lot of people looked at us and they didn't take us seriously. But out of 70 teams, I think we got knocked out at 8th place.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of people just think that when people come on to the court, they're just gonna walk circles around them, but we definitely showed them what we're made out of.
Definitely. I mean, we've all been taught not to judge a book by its cover, so just another lesson there.
Yeah.
So what are the key things that you think sporting organizations should be doing to show that everyone is welcome when either playing or watching events?
A lot of sporting, I do see a lot of organizations doing different things, and it's great. I actually did not know about some of the ones that the Wanderers were doing. And to Garrett's point earlier, when you said that it's a small gesture for the fundraiser, it's not a small gesture, in my opinion, because you're actually, you see something there and you're doing something about it. So to people in the community, such as myself, I see that as a huge thing, and I didn't know about that, and I thank you for doing things like that. With the smoke bombs, I had no idea about that as well. I'm sorry, but I'll be at the first game, I promise, for when it starts up again. But different things, a lot of people I find in the 2S LGBTQ plus community, as well as even straight people, a lot of people are afraid to get into sports because it's really considered, a lot of sports are considered like a high level of masculinity in it. So just seeing the need for people, and if there's different divisions that are need it in a sports organization to teach whichever sport it is, to put those in place. You don't want a new beginner going up against somebody in any sort of sport that's advanced, because it's not going to end well.
Be a
and
first and a last.
Yeah, and it's also going to scare people away from sports, right? There have been some sports where I tried, and it was very first time I tried it, and I was like, this isn't for me. No, these are, if the people are taking a beginner's league this seriously, I don't want to go here. But other things are, don't assume someone's sexual orientation or their gender or the pronouns, as mentioned. Use gender neutral terms. I find this is a big one. So if you're saying to a team, good job guys, you're putting like guys in there. I prefer to say things like good job team or good job everyone. That way you're taking out the gender in there. A lot of places are doing this now in Halifax, but I do still see that there is a big need for more. But gender neutral washrooms. Really, anybody who needs the bathroom just needs a toilet, so there's no need to actually put like male female on single use ones. So it makes everybody feel welcome. I think for myself, I can't speak for everyone, but it's always nice to see that people have thought of things like that.
For sure.
Also, one thing that Nova Scotia Dodgeball did recently for the registration form, they added options for gender. So historically, registration form for any sports league would have male or female, but adding more to make people feel like, oh, look, I'm actually welcome here. There's an option for who I am on this form. I do think that helps. And one of the biggest things I find in really anything in life is to continue to learn. If it's something that you're not an expert on, attend webinars, read some books on things that you're not comfortable with or that you want to learn more about, or even an internet research is going to help bring that into, help your education on the matter, I would say.
Definitely some great points. And as you mentioned, now if you don't know, now you know. We have the different flares coming up in the kitchen. Just another reason to be there. And James inviting you there in the chat. Stephen, we're happy to have you as our guest in the kitchen. That's where the real fun happens. So you'll definitely have to take him up on that offer.
I'm really interested to know what this kitchen is. It's just like.
Well, the name is based off of, you know, how every party in Nova Scotia ends up in the kitchen.
Oh, yes.
So hence the name, the kitchen for our supporters group there.
And is it just one, like, is it the whole seating area or just?
No,
like...
it's just one, just behind the net. So it's kind of where a lot of the players will go to celebrate after they score. And it's, as Garrett mentioned earlier, it is general admission. And I think Emily mentioned as well. So there are separated into 4 sections, but within there we have our ultra fans like Garrett and some others on the call that are in 108, 109. So they're usually literally shaking the grounds in that area. And but the whole kitchen area is just a great place to go watch a game. Very affordable as well. So a lot of people choose that,
awesome.
that section.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for the very informative comments there, Steve. We look forward to seeing you at the grounds next year, and thanks for teaching me a few things as well.
Oh, no worries at all.
All right, so that is Steve Cook from the Halifax Pride Festival, everyone. Not very many professional athletes who are 2SL LGBTQ+ talk about their sexuality, but our next guest does. I'm pleased to welcome Johnny Mack to our show. Johnny, originally from Cape Breton and now based in Halifax, is Canada's first active and openly gay boxer. Tonight he's joining us from Ontario, where he's working. Thanks for joining us, Johnny, and happy Pride.
Hey, happy Pride to you. How are you?
Not too bad. I love the bandana.
Don't you? It's great, isn't it? Oh no, I'm in beautiful Barrie, Ontario. I got to apologize for the setting. It's a little loud. People are enjoying some drinks, some good food, enjoying the music. But I got a beautiful waterfront view right here, and it's fantastic.
Awesome, so awesome. We're happy.
You have a hard time hearing me, but everyone's having a good time here.
That's great to hear, and we're happy to see your social distancing there as well.
Absolutely.
So Our main question is, why did you feel the need to join this call and to have your voice heard?
You know what? Since I entered professional boxing, I mean, people reached out to me, like, the amount of support I've gotten has been unbelievable. Like, I got into boxing for me, but after my name got out there and people heard my story, I mean, it became very apparent that it's been about much more than me. And I'm fighting for more than just me in the ring. I'm fighting for a whole lot of people and a whole lot of stories to be heard. So it's important to me that I uphold that and I represent these people in the ring. Absolutely. Like, everybody's got a voice that needs to be heard somehow.
Definitely agree, Johnny. And I mean, many people wouldn't put boxing and being gay together. So
No, they don't.
how have other boxers and trainers reacted to you being, open about your sexuality?
You know, honestly, I mean, in Halifax, I was a little shocked, but I mean, the support has been overwhelming. I mean, it's mostly positive. I mean, there's still that stigma out there in trying to fight. I've had people relatively close to me in my own circle, a little two-faced, nice to my face, talk about me behind my back and all. I mean, some people at the end of the day, they just don't believe that a gay man belongs in a boxing ring. I have a difference of opinion, and I'm going to show them. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, when I get in the ring, my fists are the talking, and I mean, I'm fighting for much more than just to win. It ain't about winning or losing to me. It ain't about none of that money. I don't care. This is about something much bigger than a boxing bout. Okay, when I get in that ring, who's standing across from me is irrelevant. Don't matter. Okay, I'm fighting something much greater than that for a lot of people, and that means something to me.
Definitely, it's a very powerful words. And how did you get into boxing originally?
You know what? I started boxing when I was a teenager, about 15, 16 years old. I started out with the old Tommy Gordon Amateur Club down in Sydney Mines. I'm from a small town in Inverness, Cape Breton. I started out there when I was a teenager. I was going through some traumatizing times, some troubles. And it basically saved my life back then. But then I veered down the wrong path for quite a while. And I let everybody around me down. I let my coaches down, I let my trainers down, I let myself down. I let everybody down. And I was out of the ring for about 10 years before I actually got back to the ring. Found my way back. I was on my last leg. I mean, I've had struggles every day, man. Like, I'm just like everybody else. I battle inner demons every day, just like everybody else. And I came to the end of my rope one day, and I was driving around the city of Halifax. Like, it was the end for me. And I mean, I must have drove past half a dozen gyms. For whatever reason, I drove past one, and something called to me. Something was drawing me in there. It was like a magnetic pull to my soul, and it drew me back in there. And at the time, I thought it was kind of, okay, this is something I need to do for me. This is redemption for me. But after I walked through those doors, a whole bunch of other doors started opening up. And I had people reaching out to me, left, right, and center, coming to me for support, inspiration, and it was overwhelming at first. I'm not going to lie. It was very overwhelming. But then I analyzed the situation, and if I can be a channel for other people, a channel of hope, channel of inspiration, you know what? We are just as good as everybody else, and we can fight just the same as everybody else. We've been fighting our whole lives. We've been fighting battles a lot of people will never understand, and they'll never comprehend, okay?
Definitely. And it's a great story. And since you've come out and spoken openly about your sexuality, what has that done for you in your life?
It's freed me, man. I was down I came out when I was 27. You know, I had an idea since my early teenage years, but I grew up in a small little Cape Breton town, old school. I was afraid of judgment. I feared judgment. I feared isolation, just like a lot of people do. And there came a point, I mean, I fell in love with a guy in 2017, and I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't lie. I couldn't be ashamed of him in front of the world. It just wasn't right. It didn't feel right. And for so long, all those years, I was angry. I had so much bottled up inside me that I never dealt with, that I never like really properly dealt with. And I'm not saying that denying my sexuality caused it, but it certainly exacerbated it. It didn't help nothing. And I mean, I was a dark soul for a long time, man. Like I was lost. I was lonely. I was broken. I hurt a lot of people. Because I was never true to myself. I wish I'd come out sooner, but I came out at 27, and it's like those chains that were binding me, I could feel them break. And it was a huge weight off my shoulders.
That's great. That's great. And it's great to see you come through the other side and now, look back to give back to the same community that looks like it's helped you a lot. And here we are in Pride Week where lots of people are celebrating and seeing rainbow flags. When this is all over, what are the things you would like to see for society to be more accepting and inclusive?
At the end of the day, for society to be more accepting, it comes down to education, man. Like hatred, we don't inherit hatred. We're not born with hate in our hearts. We learn it over time, whether through direct teachings, through secondary observations. We learn it day in and day out, and it becomes a part of our living. We're not born that way. So, I mean, we need to slay the dragon at the head, for lack of a better term, and we need to educate people early on in life that we are all equal. We are all the same, and I don't care what color your skin is, don't care who you sleep with, don't care. None of it matters. We're all human. Flesh and bone, and we bleed red just the same.
Agreed.
We're equals. So education, first and foremost, from a young age, preaching acceptance, preaching equality, unity. I mean, there's so many walls and barriers in the world nowadays. I mean, there's so much division, and it creates problems. And we need to do away with those walls, man.
Definitely. I strongly agree. And it seems like a lot is changing here in Nova Scotia. So we're looking forward to having you back here. Tell us a little bit about your pro boxing career, though. When are you back in the ring?
Whenever boxing opens up again, I guess. I got a training camp coming up in a few weeks. It's going to be the most intense camp I've had yet. I'm going to be ready for September, or for December, rather. Whether or not boxing reopens because of this whole pandemic thing by then, I don't know. But December, I'm going to be ready to go.
Awesome. And you've been keeping fit out there in Ontario?
I've been doing some stuff, yeah, keeping going. I mean, the pandemic hit. I was just like everybody else, man. I had to put things on the back burner and survive for 4 months, right? I mean, what it is. I mean, but things are picking up now. I'm starting to get back into it, and like I said, I got a big training camp coming up. It's going to be great.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's the new normal. We're all doing what we got to do to survive. It's great to see you're staying fit. And one of our fans, Anthony, made a comment there. He said, "Powerful stuff, Johnny. Thank you so much for sharing your story." And I'm sure we all share that sentiment as well. We look forward to seeing you back in the ring. And folks, that is boxer Johnny Mack, and watch out for him on social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter. He is JMack the Rebel. That's where you'll hear about his career when things begin to get back to normal. So thank you again to all of you guys for joining the call and being a part of another conversation on inclusivity. We will be posting this call on our Inclusion in Our Community page on our website. We will also post reading materials and video links there, as we did for the Black Lives Matter. So if you have any suggestions of things we should be including, you can email those to us at info@hfxwanderersfc.ca. I'm Marvin O'Kello. Thank you again for being with us tonight. Good night, and come on, you Wanderers.